I'm Fashion 40 and this is City Skylines 2. A few months ago, I had made a request on the CS2 modern Discord. I was looking for a map of New York City, specifically of Brooklyn. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, and for a while I've been curious to see if I can recreate Brooklyn in this game. With the use of mixed housing and mixed residential, it seems super possible. Unfortunately, looking through the maps on the PDX mob site, I really couldn't find a map that had a huge portion of Brooklyn and or Queens. A lot of the maps that was on there were based off of the GTA 4 maps, and they focused primarily on Manhattan. But thanks to Unhinged Wolf actually answering my request, I started to feel that it was a possibility for me to recreate Brooklyn. Wolf asked if I needed any roads to be in there, and I'm from East New York, Brooklyn to be exact, so what's easier to build than something you know from your whole life? So in reply, I asked Unhinged Wolf if he can just build Linden Boulevard, North and South Conduit, and the Belt Parkway. These are the major roadways that are either in my neighborhood or that surrounds it. Brooklyn, as we know it today, is part of New York City, being one of the 5 boroughs. Though, before 1898, Brooklyn was actually its own independent city. Had it remained independent, it would have been the 4th most populous American city. Founded by the Dutch in the 17th century, and being mainly a port city until the 19th century. The way we're going to start this adventure is all the way on the eastern side of the borough, the furthest point of Brooklyn, which is called East New York today. Founded by the Dutch as the township of New Lots in the late 1650s, it became annexed in 1886 as the 26th ward in the growing city of Brooklyn at the time. The start of this area that we're going to focus on is called Spring Creek. Much of Spring Creek's history consisted of undeveloped land being used as a dumping ground and filled with large landfills and an incinerator. We're starting with where I grew up, Spring Creek Gardens. This complex was erected in 1989 as a low-income housing complex to house 582 apartments. Most of these buildings are 5 stories high, and most of the development is above garages. These buildings are numbered 901, 902, 903. 903 houses what we call the Senior Citizens Building, which is about 7 to 8 stories high. 902 is the longest of these buildings that run along Fort Bell Street. This housing complex is hard to recreate in the game as it has what we call open decks, which are a flight of stairs that lead you into an open courtyard with staircases leading into the apartments. Towards the back of this complex, we have a very large park with 1 full basketball court and 2 almost regulation-sized half courts. There's open turf, there's a swing area, and there's a jungle gym area. This complex, unlike others throughout East New York, is actually gated. With that being said, let's get to the build. Next up, we have emerald green houses, or what we from Spring Creek Gardens call new houses. Emerald Green is a housing development opened around the year 2000, which houses about 100 low-rise walk-up apartments. With this part of the build, we're confined on space a bit, and we don't have assets that kind of fit this size. We'll condense it as we're currently building Brooklyn on a 2/3 scale. We'll tackle this build along with the supplementary housing that's on Stanley Avenue. Last but not least, for the immediate area surrounding Spring Creek Gardens, we are going to build what we call the Sanitation building. In 1954, this area, as mentioned before, was seen as a dumping ground. The city erected the South Shore incinerator, followed by several landfills, which, unfortunately, as I was growing up, I lived next to an incinerator. Though at the time, I believe it was just going out of commission and it will eventually become a compost facility for the Department of Sanitation, along as a storage and salt garage. The scale of some of the assets in the game are not entirely up to snuff, so I had to recreate a variation of it. We will start the beginning of the build, and on the next episode, we'll get in on the detailing. Let's go. And there we have it, guys. That's the start of our series. I want to give a major shout out to Sealy, Unhinged Wolf, Chaos Fun, and everybody who jumps in on our semi-daily streams. If you found this build and the history interesting, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get hit with new episodes when they drop weekly. Peace out, Daddios.